We're Till, and we both worked our whole lives in the restaurant industry. And I personally remember so many nights when we had to toss pounds and pounds of food away, which always annoyed me. But when I would go home later and see people out there struggling to afford a warm meal, it broke my heart. So we looked deeper into the problem of food waste and found out that actually one-third of worldwide produced food gets wasted. And this equals over $160 billion in potential revenue loss every year only in the US, and plays a huge role in the climate change. Another big problem is that studying in the US can be very expensive. So a lot of students are living on a very strict budget and can struggle to afford themselves good, healthy meals. Another problem we see is that a lot of small and medium-sized restaurant businesses are struggling to break even every month. So they don't spend money on customer acquisition or marketing, which makes the situation even worse. So these are big problems, and we went out last year to validate them. We talked to 71 restaurants and found out that 57 of them are facing the problem of food waste and are actively looking for new solutions. On the customer side, we interviewed 100 students, and 86 of them said that they're facing problems because they're living on a tight budget. 69 of them said they're living on a very tight budget because they're taking out student loans. And all of them said that budgeting and food plays a huge role to each other. So these are big problems, but we think behind every big problem, there's a huge opportunity. So we came up with the solution of Till. Till is a discount meal platform which gives restaurants the opportunity to sell their surplus food. So how would that work? Imagine you're all restaurant owners and you close in 2 hours. At this point, you'll have approximately 10 dishes left. So you put them in our app and give a big discount of 50, 60, or 70% instead of tossing the food away. I, as a customer, see on the website or the app that there's a great deal close to me. I purchase it there and come to your restaurant to pick it up. So by doing this, everybody wins. You're not only cutting your losses on food waste and increasing your revenue, but you're also increasing your customer base. Why? Because 7 out of 10 people will come back to purchase for a full price later on.
Of course, we had to validate this solution. So we built out an MVP version, a mock-up version of our app in the lab in Zip Launchpad, just to click through and to show it to students. It was enough to go out and conduct more interviews. So we talked to 21 more managers and owners, and we found that 19 of those were actually interested in testing our solution. And now a big point, 5 of them wanted to test the solution even though they have little waste. That was a huge turn point for us because we really understood the potential of our idea. We proposed them 30% commission of the sales we would make through them, and all of them agreed. Some of them even said they would give up more if we could actually bring in new customers. And on the customer side, we talked to 39 students to let them test the MVP. And 37 liked it so much that they wanted to be on the pilot. And 31 said they did not care that they have less choice. That means that they're agreeing on the business model as long as we could provide them with high discounts. Let's look at some feedback we got through the interviews. So we talked with Giacomo Pizzoghini, who is a restaurant owner in San Diego, and he said that even though he doesn't have too many leftovers, he would still love to use the tool to increase his high profit pickup sales. That was a pivot for us because, as I said before, we understood what we could do with the app. It's not only about saving food, it's about helping restaurants to market better and to increase their pickup sales. And on the student side, we heard that the only thing they really care about is that we have to provide dietary restriction options. That means that vegans get vegan meals and vegetarians vegetarian meals. Other than that, they said to limit their choice wouldn't be such a big problem if they would actually save a lot of money over our app. These interviews led to our major key pivots. So on the customer side, we understood that it's not only a thing for like green-minded students and people who want to save the planet to go on our app and save and buy that food. It's for everyone who's frugal-minded and interested in saving money on perfectly edible food. And on the other side, on the restaurant side, the pivot was even bigger. We understood that restaurant could use it as a customer acquisition tool and do more than just saving some leftovers and selling some leftovers. Marketing now is our main selling point and became our main selling point. In addition to that, we understood that the restaurants could use it to increase their pickup sales, and pickup sales have the highest margin for a restaurant. So it could actually be a big chance for us to market in that direction.
So let's have a look at the markets here. We are having a two-sided market. So I want to start with the restaurant side. There are over 310,000 restaurants in the US offering pickup sales already. Our early adopters amongst them would be food prep heavy restaurants such as buffet style restaurants. But also with the learnings from our interviews and testing, we found out that our idea is not limited to restaurants. We're now also looking at cafes, hotels, and even grocery stores. On the other hand, we have the customers. Amongst the customers, we think students would be our early adopters. And there are almost 20 million students in the US, and 30 million of them are taking out student loans, which means they're living on a very tight budget. So our position in the market is unique. We have competitors with Too Good To Go, who was the first company to implement the similar idea. They started in Europe, and they're making over 100 million annually. And then we have Rescue, also in Europe, and in the US, only operating in Boston and New York, we have Go-To-Market and Food for All. They're, as I said, all pursuing a similar idea, but they market in the direction of food waste. So they say, we are a movement against food waste, let us all together save the planet, which we think is a great idea. But when we did our interviews and went out, I mean, we talked to way more people than just the interviews we recorded. Always when you talk about food waste, people think like, oh, is this food still edible? I don't want to eat food waste, even though it's cheaper. So we want to take a whole different marketing approach. We want to tell the people, guys, we bring you great deals for good food. The food is perfectly edible until the restaurant closes. So we want to market in the direction of the deals app.
As I said before, we validated the number of 30% commission of the sales. That means that we would give 70% additional revenue to the restaurant, and that's not all what they get. They would get new customers, a better brand reception, and sustainability for their business. And we, on our side, would donate 5% of our profits to people in need to give back to community. Let's take a look at our strategy. So our main goal was it to be done with the alpha version of our app in March. And now it's March, and we are actually done with the version. The only thing we have to do is to put it on the App Store. And we want to conduct a pilot, which we started last Friday. The first one we started last Friday, and we want to launch as soon as May 2020. We know that it's quite challenging times because of the coronavirus, but we think it could actually be a chance for us to onboard more restaurants and to increase their pickup sales.
So talking about the alpha version of the app we created, it is actually perfect, ready to use. These are screenshots, but we're talking about database app. So this is not a mock-up or anything. We just need to implement the payment services, and then we're good to go. And till said, we started the pilot. We actually started the pilot last Friday. We were planning on starting a series of pilots, but due to the events, we just had this pilot last Friday, which is no problem because it was a huge success. So we agreed with the owner to sell 10 of his leftover dishes the hour before he closes. We actually ended up selling 13. Why? Because he still had leftovers and we had more inquiries, so we sold more. The customer feedback was awesome. Everyone said, it's great, thank you guys for bringing these deals, and where can I sign up to get information about new events, new deals coming up? And the restaurant site was even more successful because we could show them that 7 out of the 13 people we brought in were never in this restaurant before. So we proved that our app works as a customer acquisition tool.
So let's take a look at our team. With our team, we got every area covered, including an in-team app developer who developed the app completely free for us. And that's not all. We have we have a lot of advisors behind us. For example, Tanya Hertz, Kim King, or Giacomo Pizzughini, who is a chain restaurant owner in San Diego and an hospitality expert.
Yes. So how would you use the prize money? As Till said, we were able to really bootstrap until this point. But now we need some money to go over the edge. So for example, I was talking about taking payments. In order to take payments, we need a business bank account and we need to be incorporated. Not only that, we need to be incorporated to limit the liabilities when signing contracts with the restaurants, because we have already 5 partners who agreed on a paid pilot with us. In addition to that, we need graphic design and branding for our marketing materials. So we need a logo, we need stickers, we need shirts, and we need banners if we are showing our ideas. In addition to that, we don't only want to give the customers the chance to use our service through the app. So we also want to implement a website just to make it more convenient. And here we are planning on using Shopify, which is pretty costly. In addition to that, we want to go out and do more sales pitches with the restaurants. And for that, we are looking for a sales device or a device to do the pitches on. So ladies and gentlemen, we're living in the age of food waste and climate change awareness. So the perfect time to start for us is right now, because every dish counts.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So finals judges, you have 5 minutes of Q&A.
This is Christian. I just have a quick question. On your go-to-market strategy, you mentioned that you need a sales device.
Yes.
I understand you're going locally and trying to get restaurants to sign up. But what is this device that you're talking about?
It's actually pretty simple. We have both laptops with like cracks in it, and we just need like a little tablet to show we have a sales pitch for the restaurant, which is not so academic and like shows easier. And we just want to have like a little tablet to present on to look professional.
So assume you have that sales device. What is your go-to-market strategy? Like, how are you going to get the restaurants, and how many restaurants were you looking to get to make this to work? Or
okay, so our go-to-market strategy in terms of restaurants is that we go through context. That means that we don't like approach them and just call them or like send emails out, because they get so much inquiry, like so many inquiries every day. So we want to go through the network we already achieved, for example, through Giacomo or other partners we have already, and just go through the networks and try it over that, and just show successful pilots and projects in the past. And to the other question you asked about the number, so it really depends, because we wanted to start the next pilot with like 5 to 10 restaurants, and after that we wanted to have as many as possible. But we should to launch, we should have at least 20 or 25 restaurants. It doesn't make sense to put it on the app.
Yes. To add on to that, we want to approach the restaurants neighborhood-wise. So we were thinking starting in the areas of San Diego State, but since all the freshmen were moved out of their houses, we're now more looking on PB, because we think when we can show the restaurants, look, we started with Giacomo, he has 5 restaurants, and work actually we brought new customers, that this is a good approach and gives us proof for the beginning.
I got a couple of quick questions.
Yeah.
How much time is available for the pickup of this food?
So this also depends. So we are looking in our pilot, we had 1 hour time frame, but we could also go up to 3 hour time frames. It really depends on the restaurants. It's also not only in the last hours, because some restaurants, they're changing shifts, or if you look at hotels, they have like a big breakfast buffet. So you could say like the last hour of the buffet, and then the last 2 hours of the lunch buffet, and so on. So it really depends, but we think between 1 and 3 hours to pick it up.
But the time is limited for...
Yes,
the time is
limited.
Okay. When is the food paid for?
The food is paid over our app, because we want to process the payments.
Oh, when? When they pick the food up, or when they make the reservation?
Yes, when they reserve. So
what happens if they don't pick it up?
If they don't pick it up, the restaurant gets paid anyways, and we just take the commission.
Yeah. So you have to decide before if you want to have the meal or not.
We were also discussing, to be honest, like we started the pilot like this. We're also discussing a business model where we said, okay, we only take a reservation fee first, and then we go to then the customer goes to the restaurant and pays the rest there. But then we found out that processing all these payments over, for example, a week or even a month can be an extra revenue stream.
Yeah, it could be important for our business.
Yeah, well, someone needs to know the food's going to be available when they get there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. The other judge?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that could potentially devalue any of the restaurant's food or price. So, you know, if you thought, oh, I'm familiar with this app, and I know that I'm really hungry right now,
Yes.
but if I just wait an hour and a half or 2 hours, I'm gonna get this meal for a lot cheaper. Could that have any long-term effect on the value of some of these restaurants' prices?
Yes, that's a great question. So we were thinking about this risk to being a competition to their menu, because no one needs this, even though we bring more customers. So the basic idea is that we offer, let's say you have an Asian restaurant, then we say, okay, usually we have this kind of leftovers, and you can choose like vegan, vegetarian, or meat. And then you can even maybe narrow it more down. Also, we discussed with a few partners of us that they would offer extra dishes for our app. So they say like, okay, this week I bought a little bit too much salmon, so I will do a salmon special only for the app, so that we don't become competition to the menu. But also we thought about this as a big risk, but when talking to the restaurants, they actually didn't care too much. They said, guys, I would discount everything, but we agree with you. We think this could be a risk. So yeah.
And what about any other barriers to entry? So, you know, could 2 months from now somebody else say this is a great idea? Well, they can only capture 10 restaurants or 15 restaurants. We're going to go big scale and capture 100. So what are the barriers to entry?
So the barriers of entry for us right now is to onboard, like having the same amount of like users who want the food and like restaurants who provide the food. So basically, like for example, Uber, that they have the same amount like drivers needed and drivers, and that's some of our barriers right now. But I think we definitely need to scale fast because of course other people could try to onboard restaurants as well.
I agree, but I think she said about the barriers for the competition. So the main thing is that restaurants, as we said, they have hundreds of people every month coming into their restaurants and selling them new ideas and the best new marketing tools. And they kind of fed up because I mean, if you have a small or medium-sized business, you're pretty much in the day-to-day business. So we think when we establish these partnerships and then reach out to the partners over the partners, that we can have like a really, really nice customer relationship with them, and therefore are pretty much protected against competitors. Because if you're already working with us and that works great, what is the reason to change everything again, even though you might get like 5% more?
So you don't think any other competitors are going to come into this market?
We think there are competitors, as we said. There are competitors in New York and Boston, and they taking a whole different approach. So they're really talking about the food waste and the movement against food waste, and we think we can differentiate ourselves from them through better branding.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, even if they try to come in the market, we put a lot of our branding, and that people really like the brand itself. So we hope that that's our protection against competitors in the market.
Sounds like you're focusing a lot more on the restaurants. How about the customers? Is this more student, and how do you get the other side of the coin here, that you have to get the paying customers on the platform as well?
Yes. So we think students are the early adopters because they're often living on a budget and they're always looking out for good deals. But when we talk to students, like 99% of them said, great guys, like where can I get good deals? And then we did not only talk to students, we also talked to adults and working professionals. And everyone said, as long as you make it really convenient for me, so I can reserve the food maybe the same day or even one day before, and I know the opening hours and everything. Everyone loves deals. I mean, why should you not save 50, 60, 70% on food, even though you're making good money?
So how is it different from Groupon?
Yes. So the whole idea of Groupon is that restaurants usually use Groupon when it's going really bad, and Groupon is kind of like a sell thing. So the image of Groupon for restaurants, I mean, for everything else it's pretty good, but for restaurants, I think it's not too good to use Groupon. And as well, we have the aspect of we don't want a main brand in the direction of mission against food waste, but we still have this aspect. So the restaurants can still get a sticker from us and say like, we're sustainable and we're doing something good, because this is still our underlying mission. We just want to have it low key and not brand totally in this direction.
In addition to that, is Groupon the direct competition to the menu? And since the choice the customers have through our app is a little more limited, it's not as much a competition to the menu. So we hope that that's easier for restaurants to board on with us.
We're out of time. I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
Hey, judges, knowing that there's other teams coming on, and the guys from Till, you can stay on and watch the rest of the finals, but you're going to unshare your screen.
Yes, I'm on.
So the next team can come in and go. And from the judging point of view, once you've seen all three teams, we'll ask people to leave, and then you can debate amongst yourselves who you believe the top team is.